Welcome back. I'm John Padalita, and I'd like to take a few moments to talk to you about the Wine Guardian fully ducted product line. This is our flagship line, our original line, and remains one of our best sellers. It is a totally commercial grade unit which can control temperature and humidity in wine cellars. Now, we're talking some wine cellars that are actually quite large with a product like this. They might start as small as 1,500 cubic feet, that's about 40 cubic meters, and go up to cellars that could be as large as 6,500 cubic feet or even 175 cubic meters. That depends on a lot of factors, so of course you'd have to use our selection program to choose the correct unit. Now, these are fully ducted units, and by that I mean that they're generally installed outside of the wine cellar, and it's possible to duct the air, the hot air, from the cellar to the outside. So the condenser is a ducted system, and the evaporator, or the wine cellar side, is also generally ducted. So you have at least ducts coming from the cellar and back to the cellar, from the unit to the outside, and from the outside back to the cellar. But you'll notice these panels. We have panels on both sides of the units as well as on the top, and that allows you to actually use more ducts if you'd like to. These same panels can also be used to mount our optional humidifier. So the humidifier is actually integrated with this unit when it's used, and in one piece of equipment you are genuinely controlling humidity as well as temperature. We do offer a number of other options, including heating. So there is electric heat here to warm up a wine cellar when required. We do have a low ambient option, which allows the unit to work in the cooling mode even when the air reaching the condenser coil is as cold as about 40 degrees Fahrenheit or 4 degrees C. I also want to mention that what you see here is the air-to-air unit. We do have a water-cooled version of this unit, which means that on the warm air section, you don't really need to run ductwork to the outside. You can use a flow of water to reject the heat. Ideal for installations perhaps in condominiums, for particularly silent applications, or for installations where for some reason you can't actually make a hole in the exterior wall of the structure. So let's take a look at some of the standard features of this unit. This is how it comes, with 2 duct collars supplied with the unit. Of course, we're able to supply duct collars for these additional panels if you want to connect more ductwork, but it comes just as you see it here. It comes with our own design controller. This is going to control temperature and humidity and read out both. Also comes with this cable. You do have to use our cable. That's important. Be sure you use the cable which comes with the equipment. Now, there's some other important features which you can't see quite as readily. The coil on the wine cellar side has an epoxy phenolic coating. We sometimes call it E-coat. And under certain conditions, the air in a wine cellar can become slightly corrosive. It's really the reaction of the humidity and the wine corks, but under certain conditions, that air may actually start to corrode the coil. We have prevented that by coating the evaporator coils on all of our Wine Guardian products. Also note that the body itself is aluminum. This will not corrode. This is a commercial grade unit and will not corrode due to the humidity in the wine cellar or in the adjacent space. A few of the other standard features. This unit really is plug and play. You can plug it into the wall using this cord. Obviously on our export units there's a different plug, but you can plug it right in. Notice that really all of the things you need to work on once the unit is installed are on one side here. You have 2 communications ports, you have an on and off switch, and you have a connection in case the humidifier is installed remotely. I mentioned that it's generally installed using one of these removable panels, but it is possible to install the humidifier directly inside the wine cellar. The condensate drain is right here. You do not need to trap it. It's internally trapped. So here is the connection where you would have the condensate drain. And if we look over on the condenser side of the unit, we see the washable filter, which is supplied standard on all of our equipment. Now, I should mention that all Wine Guardian products in 60 Hertz versions are certified by ETL, the Environmental Testing Lab, to Underwriters Laboratory UL standards. They are also certified to CSA, Canadian Standards Administration standards as well. The 50 cycle products are all CE mark approved for use within the European community. Taking another look at the unit, you can see this removal, the panel that's been removed here and a panel that's in position. This unit is fully paneled. There are panels here on the top, on the other side, at the ends. This allows you to choose where you make the duct connections. It has another important benefit as well, and that's that it allows easy access to the components for service, if required, and it implies great flexibility in where this unit can be installed. Since you have a choice of where the ducts are actually connected, you can install this unit against the ceiling if need be, against a wall if required, even against the floor. So you have a tremendous amount of flexibility in how the ducts and the humidifier are actually connected to this unit. Let's take a look inside the WineGuardian ducted unit. If we look inside, we can quickly see the commercial grade features, notably this centrifugal fan or impeller, motorized impeller, which is used in all of the products. By the way, this unit really consists of two separate airflow patterns. There's no air exchange between the cellar and the outside environment. So essentially you have one airflow on the cellar side and one airflow on the outside of the cellar. And you know, that's a good reason to use a ducted system, because these units are generally installed outside of the cellar. You can run ducting on both the condenser side and the evaporator side. So if you ever did need to get into the unit to work on it like this, it's done in most cases in an adjacent room. You don't have to have any kind of service technician actually next to the wine collection when they're working on the units. So taking a look back inside at those commercial grade components, you do see the compressor in here. There is a high pressure switch in all of these units. It's actually accessed from the other side of the unit, but by removing the panel, it's very easy to get to the high pressure switch. You see that there are two communications ports here. This one is now configured for the remote interface. It's possible to use the other communications port to install remote sensors. This unit can use up to 3 sensors within the space to monitor and average temperature and humidity conditions. That's particularly important in a very large wine cellar. Notice the on and off switch, the humidifier connection if the freestanding remote humidifier is used. Another interesting option is our high ambient option. The unit, as shipped from the factory, will provide cooling with outdoor air up to about 115 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 47 degrees centigrade. However, on the smaller sizes, we do have a high ambient option which allows cooling at even higher outdoor ambience. So whether it's in a desert climate like Arizona or perhaps even in certain regions of Asia, we do have a high ambient version available. Now the WineGuardian ducted unit is highly flexible. You have many options for the ductwork. We've talked about having 2 or even 3 supplies to the wine cellar. We talked about the length of the ductwork, but there are many other ways the unit can be used. They may not be the most common. Without doubt, the most common installation is to duct both the condenser and the evaporator, installing the unit in an adjacent space. But it is possible, for example, to install the unit outdoors. It's possible to put the entire unit outdoors and to duct the cellar air to and from the unit through the wall. If you choose to install the unit outside, it is essential that you shelter the unit from any kind of rain or snow. You have to have some kind of roof over the unit. This is not a unit which is really designed to withstand snow and rain. It can work outside, but it must not be exposed directly to the elements.